Thank you. Joining me now is Congressman Ted Lieu, Democrat from California, a member of the Judiciary Committee, and luckily for us, a former impeachment manager who knows all the January 6th story as well as anybody. Before I get to that, Congressman, I do want to ask you about Leanne's reporting on the Build Back Better Act. What's your reaction to this decision, apparently by the Senate Democratic leadership, that they won't be able to get this done this year after all, and it's going to slip into 2022?
Thank you, Gary, for your question. Let me first say my heart goes out to the victims of the tornadoes, and I'm glad that we passed the infrastructure law, which is not only going to help rebuild infrastructure, but also make it more resilient to climate change and extreme weather events. And specifically to your question, in terms of voting rights or Build Back Better bill, we need to get both done, but it's not even a close question as to what should happen first. We need to get voting rights bills through first. We have congressional maps already being drawn right now. There is a time element to this. The clock is ticking. We absolutely have to get voting rights through because democracy is under attack in America.
On the Mark Meadows front, the contempt of Congress vote last night, obviously you, along with all Democrats, voted to hold him in contempt. I asked Leanne a version of this question, too, but I'm wondering, what do you hope that that contempt vote does for the investigation? It may not compel Mark Meadows to speak. Do you think it's the kind of thing that might compel other witnesses to speak?
I do. No one in America wants to be held in contempt of Congress, and this was a bipartisan vote. And let me just sort of answer this on a more personal level. I served with Mark Meadows. I liked him. We got along. It is very sad for me to see the former president hijack his soul and turn him into someone he is not. I hope Mark Meadows changes, but I don't think he wants to go down in history as someone who was being held in contempt of Congress and refusing to cooperate with a valid congressional committee.
I know the committee's keeping their evidence really close to the vest, much to my great frustration as a reporter. But from what we have seen publicly, including these text messages, I just wonder, as someone who was an impeachment manager who dealt with this, how much you think the evidence that they have publicly presented moves our understanding of what happened on January 6th forward or not.
The January 6th committee is doing a great job. When I was an impeachment manager, it's very clear to us that this was an insurrection. It was an attempted coup. The evidence the January 6th committee is gathering not only shows that that's the case, but shows that this was planned. You had a PowerPoint that was a roadmap to a coup. You had lots of folks who were there not just to protest, but specifically to stop the certification of the Electoral College. They were trying to keep the former president in power. That's what this was all about.
I got to ask you quickly about Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell responding to some of these text messages that were obtained. Here's what he said yesterday on the Senate side.
Were you personally in contact with Mark Meadows that day and other White House officials to urge Trump to do more?
Yeah, I was not, but I do think we're all watching, as you are, what is unfolding on the House side. And it will be interesting to reveal all the participants who were involved.
You know as well as I do, Mitch McConnell loves not answering questions that he doesn't want to engage with. He chose to engage there. I wonder what you make of his level of interest. Do you think there's a sense any of your Republican colleagues are nervous about information about their involvement coming out?
I do. I don't think Mitch McConnell is nervous. I think he actually is interested because if you listen to his speech right after the impeachment trial, the first half of it, he basically goes off on the former president.
He did.
How the former president incited the insurrection, that there was no doubt about that. So I think Mitch McConnell really does want to see what the evidence shows, and I think it deeply troubles him that you've got elected officials and also appointees of the president who were engaged in this attempted coup.
All right, Congressman Ted Lieu of California, thank you very much for being on with us. We will be all over this investigation. I suspect we will talk again.